Hello and welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to change computer cases. Now changing a case is a big job. As you can see, I've got a nice old case here, and you might have seen in a different video that I've got a brand new case. Well, to start off with the old case, I've got to unhook this door fan that has a 3-pin connection to my motherboard. So it's going to pull that out and the door is free. Notice the anti-static packaging I have on the left. You're going to need some of that. Now I'm going to remove my cold cathodes. That's not going to completely remove them, just take them out of there. I'm going to start on the power connectors for my graphics card. Your graphics card might have power connectors, it might not, but mine does, so it needs to come out like that. But if yours doesn't, you need to skip straight to this step with 2 screws. Or 1 screw if you've got a single slot graphics card. There's a lot of variation in computer parts, so expect this amount of variation in my speech. Okay, so the 2 screws are now out, and we're going to need our first anti-static bag. Nice big one for my graphics card. Your graphics card might not need such a big anti-static bag, but it also might need a bigger one. Now PCI Express slots have a little clip on the bottom. You need to clip those. There's my graphics card, and it will slot straight out like a normal PCI slot. Notice my other PCI card in there. We'll start to remove that next. First, you want to ensure that your graphics card is inside the anti-static packaging, nice and safe. Now single slot PCI card. Now these have no clip on the bottom, and you just pull them out. Might take a little bit of force, as you can see here. But the card just comes out. This is a TV card, if you're interested, and it's now in its own anti-static bag. I'm now removing my memory cooler. This has just a normal 3-pin connection to my motherboard, like the fan earlier, and just slots over the memory. It didn't really need to remove that, but I did anyway. Now I'm unhooking my hard drives. These have 2 connections. They have a power connection and a data connection. The data connection is usually the brightly coloured cable, and the power connection is the series of brightly coloured cables, as you can see here. Now, unplugging the other optical drives at the top. They have the 4-pin Molex connection, as you can see there, that's the white plug. And this is the cold cathode inverter, which the cold cathodes plug into. They just pull out. Yours may vary, of course. Now we need to unhook all these power cables. There's loads inside of a computer. Now I think I've just moved on to the big one. This one plugs into the motherboard. It's a 24-pin power connection. Can take some wriggling to get it out, we'll say that. There's a clip on the one side, you need to pull it. There we go. Press the clip in and pull the cable. And as ideally, you want to start pulling the cables out and over the case like I'm doing there. Just keep things out of the way. This is a PATA IDE cable. It connects to old hard drives and old disk drives. And it looks like that, just normal ribbon cable. Usually has 2 connections, the master and slave. But they've been replaced with SATA, and, well, no one really uses them. That's a SATA cable, of interest, that's what it upgraded to. And we have some more random power cables in there, that's a SATA power cable, Molex to SATA. And as you can see, the case is getting a lot more empty. There's a cable down here, this is a USB cable to the front panel. Looks like that. On the front, I just see her tapping it. And we have all these other front panel connections, which are for the power switch, the reset switch, the power light, and the hard drive light. They all have these little tiny cables. These are case specific. All you do is unplug them from the board. You do not transfer them to your new case. I'm now removing the power supply. This has 4 pins, 1 in each corner. Yours may vary. And as soon as those are out, your power supply is completely free. I pull it out with the wires, but you probably shouldn't. Okay. Now there's a 4-pin connector still on my motherboard. I think it's called an ATX connector. It's 4-pin or 8-pin. Mine is 4-pin, yours might be 8-pin. But again, it just has a little clip on the one side and it pulls out. We're now going to unhook the optical drives. These are the things at the top that you put your CD media inside. And we have the hard drives as well. Again, these just have 4 screws, 2 either side. And optical drives are a little bit different than hard drives. You can't take them out without taking the front off. Mine is on a door, so it just slides out like that, but you might have to pull yours from the bottom. Now we're going to remove the big thing, the motherboard. You can see these tiny little screws on the motherboard surrounded by copper things. Just there, right in the middle of the camera shot now. You take a 4-pin screwdriver and pull that out. Make sure the screwdriver is magnetised, it really helps. Until your motherboard is free! Now you don't need to put this inside an anti-static packaging. I just put it on top of, because you're going to be putting this in the new case first. The big thing you can see me holding there is my CPU block. Keeps my CPU cool. And we're almost done with this case, but we need to take out the back panel connector. and the fan on the side, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now I'm putting the motherboard in so we can see where to put the screws for the new case. The screws look like this. It takes male screw to female screw, so it's just a gender converter essentially, but your motherboard will screw into those, which screws into your motherboard. And my case came with this handy tool which takes a normal screwdriver port to a case thing port. Now I didn't realise this, but the magnet doesn't work through it, so I just dropped it in the case. And once measuring it up through the motherboard, you can see, so you'll get something like this. You've got some pins in the back of your case, and your motherboard will screw onto those pins. I need to put your back panel connector in first, before you start screwing your motherboard in. It slots on and pushes it. Make sure you get it the right way up. Audio ports are always at the bottom. So you're now going to move the motherboard over to line up with the slots on the case and the slots on the back panel connector. So the audio slots will line up with those, and the screw holes will line up with the screws. Easy as that. And you can screw your motherboard down, keep it nice and in place. So you can see here, this is in the new case, and we have some new black screws in the slots. And we're ready to carry on with the rest of the build. So my case has these hard drive bays. This has a 2.5-inch converter in it for some reason, and we're going to remove that and put the new hard drives in. So once that's removed, as you can see there, it has 4 pins which go into the hard drives instead of screws. Yours, of course, will have screws. The hard drive is in backwards at the moment. You want the SATA connectors to go at the back, just like this. So SATA connections at the back, and the screws just push in. Well, these are pins, not screws, but your case might have screws. And we're going to put the hard drives in. So there's 1 terabyte going in there, pushes it down, and then it clips on. And we're going to move on to the rear. So this is a very clever screwless mounting thing for the back. You press this down, it folds in, just like that, and you can take that out. My graphics card, if you remember, have 2 slots, so I have to take 2 out. And the graphics card, once it sits in there, you just have to fold them both back down. Simple as that. The graphics card, as you can see, is going in like this. Just pushes it down into the PCI slot. The PCI slot shall grip it, just like this. It is now in. I'm going to put these screwless things down. And both my PCI cards are fitted. See, we didn't take the RAM, we didn't take the processor out. We didn't need to take the RAM cooler out, but I'm just going to put it back in. Just like that. This clips over both the ends of the RAM and clips onto the motherboard. And now we'll move on to the real jewel of this case. It has a very, very clever cable tidy system. So as you can see, the cables are now going from the back to the front. Well, you'll hide all the cables around here. There'll be no cables obstructing your airflow. It goes all the way to the back. And as you saw on the back there, it had a hole, so you didn't have to change the CPU fan mount. So we're going to push these through from the back and connect them up. Your motherboard will be different to mine. You just need to refer to your motherboard manual to plug these in. Notice I plugged the USB in, and also the J audio slot. This can be HD audio, or it can be AC97. My case has support for both. We'll move on to the optical drives. You need to take out the front bits. So this is just these grill bits here. And the thing behind it you'll also need to remove. Now you can remove these by simply just twisting them, just like that. In and out. You're just going to wear the metal till it comes out. And once these are out, you don't need to keep them, you can just recycle them. So I'm going to take 2 out for my 2 optical drives. I have a Blu-ray reader and a Blu-ray writer. And we're just going to take them out just like that. So in goes the Blu-ray reader. This also burns DVDs, believe it or not. I didn't know that was a common feature. And the Blu-ray writer is coming in now, and I'm showing you this clever push button thing. Another screwless gimmicky thing. Once it's in place, you can press the button in, and it keeps it completely secure without screws. And we'll move on to the last thing. This is the power supply. So as you can see, there's a cable routing port on the back there, and we're just going to have to screw the power supply in. I fitted this upside down so the fan points outside of the case. It has a nice grill on the bottom of the case, so you'll take the fan airflow from outside the case, keeping your computer a lot cooler. In theory. So here we are, my computer completely built. Card readers, all sorts, all the fun stuff. Cold cathodes are in, and this piece of plastic here is like an airflow director that directs it into my graphics card from the front, keeping my graphics card exactly the same temperature as it was in my old case. But hell, they tried. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Computers are easy to build, and if you've got the know-how, you should build one.